WWE Crown Jewel may have seemed like a success for WWE, but the aftermath is surely a disaster. What's up, everybody? Fred Richani, TSC, your home for pro wrestling news updates, interviews, and everything in between. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. This is an emergency podcast, the TSC podcast. Why am I broadcasting right now? It's because of the developing story about WWE superstars that were stranded in Saudi Arabia. You may recall hearing about how WWE superstars who performed at Crown Jewel, staff members, crew who all worked at Crown Jewel were stranded. Now, the story WWE wants you to believe via WWE.com is that there were mechanical issues with the plane, which is kind of weird, right? Because don't you think that WWE could have gotten a bunch of these dudes on a commercial flight? Don't you think they could have found another flight? I mean, they are a billion-dollar company that's presumably getting millions upon millions, hundreds of millions of dollars from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Now, no matter how you feel about their deal with Saudi Arabia, the reality is, on paper, it seemed like a pretty damn lucrative deal, and they're going to do what's best for business whether we like it or not. But there are limits to doing what's best for business when it's not best for the talent. That's the reason you are in business. Now, according to multiple people, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful.com, who brought this up initially, Dave Meltzer of WrestlingObserver.com, David Bixenspan, formerly of Deadspin.com, follow him on Twitter at DavidBix, and of all people, Hugo Savinovich, the former WWE Spanish commentator and talent liaison who's pretty well respected, and he actually just lost his wife, so rest in peace to her, and my deepest condolences to him and his family. According to all of them, there seems to be a lot more to the story. Now, I say seems because we don't know for sure, but what we've heard is that it wasn't a mechanical issue that kept these WWE superstars in Saudi Arabia and prevented them from being on SmackDown, which of course led to a bunch of NXT talent on there. No. According to Hugo Savinovich, of all people, on a live stream, he stated that WWE and Saudi Arabia got into a disagreement over money owed, and Vince McMahon cut the TV feed off for the time being, at least for around like an hour or so. Long enough where it was a problem, and depending on who you hear from, either MBS or somebody in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia said, all right, y'all want to cut off our feed? You want to mess with us? Okay. Bam. Keep your flight here. So WWE superstars were reportedly stranded, not because of mechanical issues, but because of political and monetary issues. Now, this wouldn't be that big of a deal, right? If, Vince McMahon was there to take care of everything. It wouldn't be maybe that big of a deal if this wasn't in a country where, let's just say it's the wild, wild east, okay, when it comes to the government. It wouldn't be maybe that big of a deal if the superstars were stranded, maybe for a couple hours on the plane, a little bit delayed. They just barely missed SmackDown. No. There were people that were stranded for over 24 hours. People that we watch on TV, people that work backstage, and people who seem to have legitimately feared for their safety. And to make matters worse, Vince McMahon, according to Dave Meltzer, left before his talent, meaning he left his talent high and dry in the desert, stranded on a plane with officials from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, while there were serious tensions between WWE and the sports authority of the country. Now, maybe he had to make TV. Maybe he thought everything was all good. But this is such a horrible look for Vince McMahon. Such a horrible look for WWE overall. But it gets deeper because you read some of these tweets. You read some of these statements. First off, let's look at what WWE said on WWE.com. They mentioned it was some type of mechanical issue, right? They also said that there were WWE superstars, a select few WWE superstars, wanted to make SmackDown so badly that they chartered their own plane, which meant that there were certain WWE stars, presumably stars considered top stars, that were able to leave earlier than their colleagues, which is not freaking cool. According to Dave Meltzer as well, Cain Velasquez, the man who they just signed to a lucrative contract, former UFC heavyweight champion, stayed behind with the entire crew. What does that say about Cain Velasquez, a relative newcomer, a guy who has every reason to just get the hell out of a Dodge? What does it say about him compared to Vince McMahon? Now, Brian Last, who does a number of podcasts, including one with Jim Cornette, tweeted out something along the lines of, a general doesn't leave his troops behind. And it was Scott Dawson of The Revival who favorited that tweet. That's interesting. We also had very interesting tweets from the likes of Carl Anderson, who said, couldn't pay me enough to go back. Well, that's not true. I need a second pool, so. And then his wife tweeted, second house, not a pool, but don't ever go back again. We don't need our daddy / poppy / mother lover / Abs Anderson / best tag team, etc. being held hostage while we're at home worried to death. Heart emoji. Ali on Instagram. I got another 3 hours till I get a hug from mine. Can't wait, in reference to his children. Scott Dawson on Instagram. It'll be worth it. I may have shed a tear or two when I got home. Whew. Now this is the translation from Hugo Savinovich's Spanish live stream from Micro, the main man, who's pretty credible from what I understand on Twitter. Listening to Hugo on the WWE thing. Says WWE weren't paid for some shows and it was a lot of money. Vince ordered the signal to be cut from the broadcast. Hugo estimated $600 million is the amount. Brock had his plane and took Hogan with him, LOL. Hugo said he got this info directly from Saudi Arabia, and it was the two shows that they weren't paid for. It was when the signal was cut, it provoked the prince to order the people to get off the plane. Wow. Now, whether or not you believe it is $600 million that Saudi Arabia owes WWE, the reality is it does sound like it may have been a money issue. And while, look, WWE is entitled to get their money from a financial agreement from Saudi Arabia or any other entity, the reality is you cannot leave your wrestlers, your staff, your crew behind like that. You just can't. You just can't. There seems to be some mutiny in the locker room. AJ Styles said on his Mixer stream that, he heard it was a mechanical problem, but it's not his job to ask these questions about money and everything else. And he was mad that he missed his son's wrestling match, but you know what? They're safe, and there's a lot of good people in the company. To me, it just sounds like a dude that's getting paid a lot of money to just say things that are good for the company, because it's also being reported that WWE is trying to get talent to corroborate this story, which means it sounds like BS to me. Meanwhile, Hulk Hogan tweeted, "Thank God we got a new plane for the trip home. Flair's down for the count because that's what happens when you party with a Hulkamaniac, brother." Yeah. So Ric Flair's shown in these pictures on Twitter, sleeping with Jimmy Hart making fun of him, comfortably on a private plane, while talent was stranded and left high and freaking dry. Not only that, but there are now some rumblings that WWE may be getting investigated or could get investigated for insider trading. At the very least, possibly having some danger and tanking their stock, because if Vince McMahon, Michelle Wilson, George Barrios, all the top people, Stephanie, Triple H, if they all had an idea that Saudi Arabia owed them money, and they all had an idea that they wouldn't be getting all the money projected from the Saudi Arabia deal, and they potentially, allegedly, lied to investors before unloading all their stock earlier this year, I'm pretty sure that falls under insider trading, which is freaking illegal. Whew. Which is why they want talent to corroborate the story that there was, quote-unquote, mechanical problems. Not a good look at all. And by the way, Carl Anderson also tweeted, looking forward to seeing who's the locker room leader on Monday. Joe Hennig, a.k.a. Curtis Axel, tweeted, I'm number one at home. We don't leave each other behind. And he tweeted the middle finger emoji. What the hell does that tell you? That tells you he's not happy. Heath Slater on Twitter also co-signed that. Rusev, while you could say that he jokes around a lot on Twitter, he did say, we're going to need prayers, brother, a couple days ago. What does that freaking say? David Bix also clarified. Hugo Savinovich reported on his Facebook live stream for Lucha Libre Online that MBS and Co. ordered the WWE flight held because Vince had ordered Kevin Dunn to cut off the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia TV feed over money owed for the second and third Saudi shows. Yeah. This is crazy. And again, if WWE, if the top brass like Vince McMahon did participate in some type of insider trading, never mind the fact screwing over their damn talent, that's just, I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. I'm appalled. I know we don't have all the facts. I know some stuff is quote unquote conjecture and all that jazz, but I'm telling you, man, at the very least we know that Vince McMahon left his talent stranded. He left his talent stranded. He left them high and dry. It doesn't seem like he made a call to his good buddy Donald Trump to get them out there. Okay, to get them out of there, I should say. He has that connection, right? Isn't Linda part of the super PAC to get Trump reelected? I thought so, yet he can't make a call to 45 and say, hey, man, my talent's having some issues with Saudi. Can you give the Saudi Arabian government a call? No. I guess he can't. I guess he can't. I guess for Vince McMahon, at least what it looks like, money, and well, it's always kind of been the case, but this example more blatant than others, what it looks like is that Vince McMahon once again put money over his talent. But this time, he put it over the safety of the talent. And I'm not just talking about the ridiculous schedule they would have had they not been delayed between going to Saudi, going to Buffalo. Then I think they're doing Raw, and then they're going on the freaking European tour, and then coming back to Philly and D.C. That's freaking insane. I'm talking about leaving your talent behind in Saudi Arabia, where there's definitely some, some different things that go on there, to say the least, with the government that's volatile, in a volatile situation that whether they owe you money or not, a lot of people told y'all that this deal was a bad idea. You did not need this money. You were getting that money from Fox. You were getting that money from USA Network. You were getting that money from network revenue and licensing deals and everything else. But y'all had to be greedy asses, and you made this deal. So you can't blame MBS. You can't blame Saudi Arabia. You can't blame the TV partner, which I believe, by the way, it's called NBC. I'm pretty sure it's owned by Saudi Arabia, or mostly owned by Saudi Arabia. Okay? You can only look in the mirror and blame yourself. And that self is Vincent Kennedy McMahon. So I'm hoping, I'm praying that some of these wrestlers, I don't want to say have some guts, but just stand up for themselves and take what is yours, okay? Whether you want to unionize, whether it's demanding some more money, whether it's demanding not work in the European tour, this is your chance. And some people might say, well, Fred, they just did a show with NXT and the rating was decent, and, they could just replace them overnight. Yeah, well, you know what? Based on Vince McMahon's recent history, whether or not he could replace them immediately with NXT stars is irrelevant, because we've seen Vince McMahon's booking, and he's ruined people in record time who have seemed like slam dunks. So I don't want to hear this crap about, oh, well, they could just replace them with scab wrestlers or, great NXT wrestlers. Yeah, the same NXT wrestlers who are drawing 500 to 700,000 viewers on USA Network, which is below the average for USA on Wednesdays. Yeah, nothing against those wrestlers. I don't blame them. I'm just saying, okay, this is the time for talent to unite and stand up for themselves. And you know what? If you don't want to form a wrestlers union, okay. Push to join SAG. Why are wrestlers not a part of the Screen Actors Guild? Yes, they are athletic. Yes, they take bumps. But they are also actors, technically. So why aren't they a part of it? I don't know. But something's got to happen. I've been around too long to think that wrestlers are just going to unite like this. All right? I'm skeptical of it happening, but something's got to happen. I need somebody to have some guts in that locker room and just say, you know what, man? I'm not working at European tour. You know what? I'm not doing this. I'm just not. Release me from my contract. Something. I understand the individualistic nature of pro wrestling. I respect the economic situation that all these guys and girls are in. Believe me, I understand. I know it's not easy. Even if you wanted to form a union, you need everybody on board. You can't just, do it yourself. And look, some people may not be for unions, and I get that. But there needs to be something out of this other than some hollow apology and some BS excuse to publicly save face so your stock doesn't get affected and so you don't get investigated by the FTC. But folks, I want to hear from you. This is a developing story, and I would love to hear what you think about this. Let me know. Leave a comment below. We will keep you posted throughout the week because no doubt Raw and SmackDown just got a lot more interesting. If you enjoyed this update, like, share, take care, subscribe to our channel, enable notifications for more updates like this. And until next time, as always, enjoy the matches. And for the sake of you WWE wrestlers, I can't even talk anymore. I hope y'all unite because this is BS. It's just BS. I don't care where you lean politically. I don't care how you feel about unions. At some point, you got to stand up for what's right. And leaving your talent high and mother effing dry, that ain't right.